Hey friends, today I want to share with you some words from the American theologian Frederick Buechner. This entry is titled Physicians. We go to physicians with whatever ails us. We take off what the nurse asks us to and sit there until they appear. Who knows what the examination will reveal? But we try to prepare ourselves for the worst. It's not just our bodies that we are putting on the line, but maybe even our chance for survival. We are no longer in control of our future, but, like children, can only wait for a grown-up to determine it. Stripped of our dignity and self-confidence, no less than most of our clothes, we perhaps don't feel quite so vulnerable anywhere else on earth. When physicians finally step through the door and start checking us over, we hang not on just every word they speak, but on the look in their eyes and the tone of their voices, for some clue of what they make of us. When they finally tell us, we listen as though our lives depend on it, which quite possibly they do. If they know their business, in just the touch of their hand, there is healing. Several times in the Gospels, Jesus indirectly refers to himself as a physician. See Matthew 9 and Luke 4. It is a richly touching and suggestive image. It is true that we serve a God of healing. Jesus carries the title of Great Physician, and we see him in his ministry on earth going around healing people of all sorts of various disease and affliction, oppression, and possession. It's interesting to note that often what Jesus is fixing when he heals someone is not just their physical body or their mental state, but that there is a reconnection with their community. Think about Jesus healing lepers. If you had leprosy, you were confined to a distant space, quarantined away from your friends and your families, your worshiping communities, and your homes. Jesus heals in this week's reading a blind man whose blindness has taken him away from his family and made him a beggar on the road, known only as someone on the outside who's dependent on others for help and support. Think about the woman with the bleeding issue that is healed just by touching Jesus' clothes. Her disease brought with it uncleanliness that stigmatized her as contagious, as dirty, as someone who couldn't be associated with. And the same is true for the demon-possessed that Jesus heals. Frequently we see them living outside of town, in chains, away. People are afraid of them. They're seen as dangerous. When Jesus heals these people, he doesn't only fix them, he brings them home. He reconnects them with community, because this is part of the healing process. Oftentimes, our brokenness, our deepest issues are relational. We are distanced from God, from each other, from ourselves by sin, by negative internal dialogues, by internalizing stories that other people have told about us and making them stories that we tell about ourselves, that we're not good enough, that we're worthless, that we're broken, that we're not deserving of love. And in times like these of sickness and isolation, those voices often get amplified. People right now are separated, more so than usual. We've been separated by distance and social media and all sorts of different things for a very long time, but now it's moved out to the surface. We can see our distance through this social distancing that we're engaged in. So as the narrative of sickness and distance defines our culture at this time, I invite you to pray and invite the Spirit to help you creatively think on how to be the presence of Jesus in your community by embodying his healing ministry. That you, through your love and your service and your prayers for each other, would become agents of community, of reconciliation, of bringing people in and bringing people close and bringing people home. That in this time of isolation and distancing, that we would have the courage and the creativity to be people of healing and hope through creatively engaging in welcome and love and community. Thanks, church.